Hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, one and all, to the 5e Ventures in Academia First Class Maps creation video. We'll be live streaming the creation of a brand new map for Ventures in Academia. My name is Tom Lishman, and I'm joined here with my very talented boss and co-worker, Russ Charles.
Hello, hello, hello. I hope everyone is having a fab time.
So, let me just go run through what we've got in front of us on the screen right here. So this is the Grand Academy. It's fully built up in 3D, and this enables us to fly around, zoom around, change things, scale things, and move things around a bit. Now, I'm going to give it about 5 minutes or so, just to let people filter in, get comfortable, get relaxed. But yeah, until then, I'm going to have give the little tour of the academy.
So while Tom's working hard today, piloting us around the environment and building the map, I'll be looking at chat and trying to answer questions, and I'll feed questions through to Tom. So if you have anything you'd like to know about the process, about Adventures in Academia and its background, the setting, the campaign, fire away, ask those questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Hello to, we've got a few people arriving in chat, which is great to see.
Awesome,
So,
that's
yeah.
brilliant. Excellent.
All
right, well, so
good.
yeah, so I guess I'll start the tour. So we have the Idlewood, and as you leave the Idlewood, up the beaten and trodden path, you will find the Grand Academy, and the gates creak open, and you are here. And there's 3 primary buildings to the Grand Academy. There's the house on the hill, that houses all the common rooms. Everywhere people will mingle, that's where they sleep, and that's where all the head teachers have their offices as well. And then you have, to the left here, we've got the Grand Hall, and the Grand Hall is basically the humming hub of the entire school. It's where everything happens, from every lesson to every dance to some of the most amazing things. So we also have the Source, which is a grand wizard tower built upon a very, very powerful magic element. And that's where the Arcane members spend most of their... House Arcane spends most of their time. And nestled behind the Wizard's Tower is the Grand Archives. Now, not much is said. Not many people actually know about the Grand Archives. But they're very mystical indeed. And we're currently having a map vote on the Kickstarter. I think Archives is quite heavily up there in the lead at the moment, but that'd be a really interesting map to explore.
That would be.
Yeah, that's not where we're looking at today. But I'm really, really excited to develop a map for that. If it wins, I don't know, cast your vote in the blog and figure out which place you'd like to see the most. So, moving down, we have... Ooh, because this is all live, there is a bit of a slowdown in the engine. So you may have to bear with some low frame rates.
A bit of stutter.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, do you have a favourite house, or is that an unfair question to ask you?
That's super unfair. But I think House Might is really, I don't know, either House Might or House Divine. House Might has a really close place to my heart because of the Leonin Barbarian as one of the first characters that we worked on with our amazing illustrator Devon. And something really exciting about House Might is it's very... everyone thinks it's all like hitting things with swords, but it's also, more importantly, about overcoming what's in your mind and strength over yourself, which I think is really important and really cool.
Yeah, very nice. I think I'm House Cunning all the way. It's the house that's got bards and rogues in, which are 2 of my favourite classes, so it's an easy pick for me. Right, shall we dive in then?
Yeah, we shall. Okay.
There
So
appears to be a load of strange blue lines all over the place, Tom. Whatever
that's
could
right.
those be?
So all these strange blue lines that you see here is actually a map grid. This allows us to determine the scale and size if we're making maps. So for example, I put a grid down here to sort of show, well, what would this is about an A2 sheet. So that's, I think it's 26 inches by 16, something like that.
Yeah,
And each one
it's
represents,
like American standard letter. It's like 4 of those sheets.
yes, yeah, that's right. And as you can see, all the characters on there, like they fit in quite nicely between all the grid lines, and it allows us to basically plan scale and think, well, how will this encounter be run? Like, for example, on here we got a very we got a road or a path coming in on the left, and the fountain as a focal point. But we've got to make sure that does this grid contain all the information and enough, engagement for players? Is there enough obstacles for you to leap over and triumph over any possible encounters along the way? So it
Are
helps with
you
planning.
using one of those grids to plan out today's map making?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but today's map isn't actually within the grounds of the Grand Academy.
Oh, we're going on a bit of a.
We're going to zoom out a little bit.
While Tom's taking us far and way into the sky, I'm just going to do the official reminder that there is currently less than 1 hour to go on the campaign.
I know.
We have 52 minutes left, so if you've not backed now, get yourself over to Kickstarter and search for Adventures and Academia, and we've also got the link in the description below for the stream, so you can click on there and go and back now if you have not yet done so. Okay, let me grab my world appropriate drinking vessel and have a sip.
And my slightly less, but it's still a tankard.
Got some more people joining us in stream. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, welcome all. So we're leading you slightly further away from the academy into the Idle Wood, and rumor has it this is where the old Wizard's Tower used to be, or where the Arcane used to practice before their taking over the Source Tower. And I thought it'd be really fun to explore that as an encounter area. Maybe some ruins, maybe some rubble after a stray fireball or a stray incantation has destroyed the place, basically. So I prepared like a lovely little area in the woods here, which looks a little bit like this.
The groundsman's been out with his can of blue paint and his paintbrush.
So just to make sure that we got the scale right, we've got our grid in place, as we described earlier, and we have Aranis, our tiefling cleric, to stand in as a scale of reference. So when this is printed, when this is online, and people put their models on here, they'll be able to know everything's in scale, and it's just getting a bit of care and attention just to make sure that things feel immersive. I think that's really important.
All scale in this map is tiefling approved.
So I'm thinking Wizard Tower, or some kind of ruins and rubbles of said Wizard Tower. But I'd love people to suggest in the chat what kind of things we could have here. Until then, I'm going to start building some elements out, and feel free to ask any questions at all about the project or anything you might want to see.
And we are off to the races with map making. So Tom's got a little collection of props that he's set up here that he can grab and drag across. If there's anything you'd like to see, anything that you think would make for a fun little narrative encounter, just pop it in chat and we'll feed it through. I am kind of loving the sort of semi-collapsed outbuildings. They're a lot of fun, and I do like the ruined tower. I like this sort of, this is an area that has been abandoned, because that implies who knows what might have been forgotten about and been left lying around here. So there's some nice story seed potential with these ruins. So
absolutely. I mean, it could be anything from maybe it's haunted, maybe there are some forgotten bound tomes. that now haunt this place, and they float around and flap around, guarding the tower and its secrets. I think we should definitely start with the tower.
Yeah, let's start with the tower.
Yeah.
Maybe some, maybe it was almost like the books were so wild. It's almost like stables that you keep creatures in, but it's actually wild books.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant. So after bringing the tower, we can see that the entrance is almost there. It's very close to being the right scale. So let's just scale it up a little bit.
I would definitely be bending if I was going through there.
Yeah.
That's probably a little bit more like it. I think our lion friend might still be struggling. There we go.
Yeah,
that's a bit more like
that's
it.
better. That's much more on scale. So we can definitely make this feel like I think this should be the centerpiece. You know, if we go to the map view, we can see, right, okay, so we got the tower here, and let's just move it back a bit. I think this should be right at the end, like right up against the end of the clearing.
Well, the thing about the way the sort of the view works is the further to the edges something is, the more of its sides we can see, I noticed. So if you have that tower in the middle, it's just going to look like a sort of circular shape. This way we can see enough of it that we're appreciating what it is.
Yeah,
so any tricks that you've got up your sleeve to make sure that's a little bit more clear and we can see the doorway and things?
Absolutely. So one thing we can do is, even though you're looking at a top-down map and you don't really have that sense of perspective, one thing we can do is we can slowly tilt this tower back, and you can see
just a little bit, yeah.
The more we tilt the tower back, the more we can see the entranceway, and we've got to find that balance that makes it feel, find that sweet spot. And I think this feels quite good. It feels you've got plenty of squares where you can walk around, so we can move our character in here. Yeah, there's plenty of squares that we can move around.
Yeah, that's great.
And we could definitely put like a grand bookcase inside, sort of like
now, at the moment, you've got those trees poking through the walls, and obviously you're going to need to move them. But I don't mind the idea of a tree growing up inside the tower.
I love it, but what I think I want to do is I want to make it more purposeful. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tree we have here.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just erase these with a razor brush. And for now,
wow, I'm actually my garden that easily.
And for now, I'm going to just hide this grid for now, and I'm actually going to look for a suitable tree. And I think like let's see what trees we have in our prop library.
Collection of props, isn't it?
Yeah, all collected over a manner of different sources.
I like go up a little bit. Go up a few. I do like these sort of almost like these sort of gnarly, twisty. They look like bonsai tree kind of things. Like I can imagine those almost growing out the sides of the tower as well.
Oh, that could be really cool. Well, I'm gonna drop a couple of these in.
Okay.
And then we can. I mean, this could easily be not even an arcane tower. This could be maybe like almost like a druid's, like where they're researching, or like it could be. There's so much we could do with it. Sure. So I'm gonna start playing around with some of these tree elements overgrowing inside, maybe coming out the edges. And let's go back to our map view. Yeah, let's just angle it a bit further. Maybe scale them up. We want to feel like this path is leading in directly to this. We want this to feel like it really is the center point. I'm just going to move this piece over here.
Sure.
To make like a foundation.
Yeah, I like that. That helps.
And just knock it down a little bit.
Just that doorway slightly, but that works really well. Someone's saying in chat, Justin's saying in chat, they like the overgrown nature of it, like nature's reclaiming the place. I think maybe we need to get some ivy in there and some scattered stone. We can sort of imply there used to be a pathway running up, but it's grown over in time. There's a lot of story that you can feed in through the design of the map, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, that's something I want to touch on right now. I love the idea of all these gnarled trees just out on the outside, but I think it could be quite fun to have one on the inside that's bare bones. So it's like everything on the inside is like completely different. Let's see what we have here. I know I do have one around here. Here we go. So we can make this really big. So it's like some big gnarled tree that's just sprouting out of the middle of this tower. Like that. What do you think?
Yeah. My only concern is we need to make sure there's enough room inside for any of the window dressing, as it were, the set, the props, and also enough room for people to be able to move their characters around within there. So I like it as a concept, and I love the way everything's sort of swaying and moving, and there's a lot of like life to it. It's just a case of getting that scale right, the balance of it.
Yeah, well, let's bring it back down and make it feel like it sort of adorns the wall like that.
Yeah, I like that. That's
and
nice.
Let's pop our grid back on as well, so we can have a look and see how that character might interact with it. If someone explores inside, yeah, there's quite a few spaces where they can move around. And now, I wouldn't want a combat encounter necessary to happen in here, but it'd be a perfect place to sort of instigate something and then retreat out, or barricade even.
All sorts of opportunities.
I think we should definitely touch on the ivy. Get some ivy on there.
Get some ivy in there.
Yeah, let's go grab some ivy from here. So we've got some great pieces here.
Oh, that's really nice. Is that already shaped in a way that will fit around the tower?
That's right, yeah. Here's something I made earlier.
The trouble with this great big mug is you feel like you need two hands just to get it to your lips.
So let's scale this ivy up. I think that will really sell the kind of overgrown.
Yes.
Let's move that here.
A
how are we doing on the Kickstarter? How are those? How are we doing?
1 second. Oh, wow. We're ticking along. The numbers climbing up and up and up.
Wow, that's amazing.
Exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really tempted to put some kind of glowing magical something in the tower, you know.
I think you'll want some lighting in there to help illuminate that area and have
some kind of
visual interest for sure.
Some kind of glowing orb or something like that could be really
or maybe
fun.
A magic runic circle on the floor or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
As an aside, while you're searching the library for that, something that's giving me a great deal of amusement at the moment is to have the chat open. I've got the YouTube preview window, and YouTube is attempting to live translate what we're saying.
Oh, really?
And it's amazing what it's coming up with. It's in no way, shape, or form even remotely accurate, but it is really fascinating. House Divine, Dungeons and Dragons says it's their favourite. They particularly love the Druid and the Dragonborn. I do have a very soft spot for that Druid model. I think it's a lovely piece. That was one of Devin's designs, and that was Holly who sculpted that piece.
Yes, it's a really, really cool sculpt.
It's a really nice sculpt.
So I want to make it feel a bit more barren. I feel we got a bit too much grass, and we want to make it feel a bit more foreboding around the edges, I think.
Well, it helps create a natural border to the edges of all of the maps as well, doesn't it? Which is useful.
Yeah. So I've added like a little lamp to the front of the doorway here, and what I'm going to use that to illuminate the area of this kind of eerie purple glow. So I can literally just grab a light in separately. Yeah, so we can grab a light in.
Oh, look at that instant atmosphere.
And let's turn the grid off and see how that looks. Oh, that instantly feels.
It's definitely adding something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel the purple plays off against the green so nicely.
Yeah. I feel we need to break up some of this grass a bit. Maybe some kind of old stone pathway.
I think so, and it needs to feel like it hasn't been maintained for a very long time.
Absolutely. So let's get our paintbrush out.
For anyone who doesn't know, Dungeons and Dragons joining us in the chat has painted some amazing miniatures to be found on social media, and has done some really superb interpretations of models that you've sculpted, Tom. So I'm very excited to see the effort that goes into doing the schools projects, doing these characters from Adventures in Academia. That'd be really exciting.
Oh yes, yes,
Oh, that's
yes.
a nice path. Maybe you can go in with the smaller brush and just bring some of the grass back in around the edges and just sort of break up that path a little bit.
Yeah, what I could do is I could try and sort of blend it in a bit more so it's not as harsh around the edges, so it
Yeah,
feels
we want to
more.
feel like the grass has encroached over time. Oh.
Yeah, let's see how that might come out. A little bit too intense. Let's see if we can make it a bit smoother.
Well,
I think a
certainly,
thinner path reads better.
yeah, you could even go straight over it in places so that there's areas where it's it's split by the grass growing through it.
Yeah, this is working quite nicely. Okay, I think we need to bring some more buildings in, and
Sure.
just some more. If you think about the players, they're going to be moving in from the right-hand side, and they'll see this ruined building in the distance.
Yeah.
And if we keep it quite open like this, I feel it feels almost too open. I think you want to have some really cool nooks and crannies where you can sort of explore and maybe try some chests and some doors and see what kind of
If our
interesting
route is just left, or well, in this case, right to left, but if the route is an A to B linear, then you don't really need a map for that. If we break that route up and create some interesting zones so that the path forward is split by some obstacles, then the map becomes a much more interesting proposition from a game perspective.
Oh yes, absolutely. Right, well, let's have a look, see what buildings would be suitable. I think maybe. So this is the tricky thing with maps, is that it's so hard to do buildings because you want the players to go in, but it's trying to make sure that if you have roofing or a ceiling, you won't be able to really see what's inside very well from a map perspective. So I might do a larger building with half rafters so you can see a little bit of what's inside.
I can imagine that working.
So let's pull this over here. And I don't think I'll use this shape. I think something maybe a bit more square. Like maybe if that was the main tower, then these are maybe sort of like the like smaller sort of study rooms or storage areas where they used to keep all books. And it'd be really fun to have loads of books sort of scattered everywhere near here.
Oh, that could be a lot of fun, yeah.
So let's have that.
Again, adding those sorts of elements, it creates seeds that a games master can then just pick up and run with.
Yes.
What they signify or what they represent is something we can determine later. But you're creating more opportunities and creating more possibilities when you do that, aren't you?
I think that's the important key to all of this, is that you're always about providing structure, you're providing more opportunities and more freedom for cool things to happen. I think that's one of the most important elements of map building, and it's very similar to what we've done with Adventures in Academia. It's so important to keep it as loose and open as possible so people can interpret it their own way, and give them just like a launching point to enjoy the world and explore their own games, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what it's all about.
Absolutely. Incidentally, if you're interested in more Adventures in Academia fun and you're enjoying watching streamed content, there should be a video on demand for our very own Richard August, who ran a session on Friday for Becca Scott and the team over at the Good Time Society, and I think it's safe to say a very fun time was had by all. So I would very much recommend anybody who is interested catching that. All of the players were fantastic. Richard did a superb job. It was an amazing, crazy, hilarious game, and Um, well worth a look if anyone fancies seeing what a session with this kind of setting and these kinds of characters can be, or if you just want to have a really entertaining time. I'd recommend that stream. It was pretty great.
I think my cheeks hurt at the end of that. I couldn't stop smiling the entire time we were watching it. It was very entertaining.
Well, we're always saying how we would love to find time to do more streamed content, and the idea of Richard running some of his crazy games on stream for us would be just awesome. Although I think that comes with the heavy caveat that I do not promise to be nearly as entertaining as Becca Scott.
So I've got what I've built right here is some kind of like ruined storehouse where old books used to be stored, and I've placed like a half-buried bookcase.
I like that a lot. The half-buried bookcase is a nice touch. I feel like we want something, be it a collapsed tree or a piece of timber or a wall. We want something to create a physical barrier across the path, because your natural inclination as a human being is to see that path and be drawn to follow it. So I think by forcing that option off the table, we create a more interesting situation.
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic idea. I mean, how about you have some suggestions in chat? What kind of things can we use to block this path that leads to this old wizard tower that's collapsed over the years? I'm definitely going to put some kind of ruined pathway here.
Watching our chat window like a hawk, ready to feed in. And partly the kinds of things that are scattered sort of help tell the story. What did make this library area come to pieces? Was it some sort of arcane explosion? Is it just the march of time? Is there any significance to those rocks? These are all sort of little narrative questions, the answer to which can be formed through the things that we place into the map and their locations.
Absolutely. Now I'm trying to think what else we could use in this area. I think we definitely feel like we need another building here. Maybe something a bit different. Let's see what we've got.
I wouldn't mind if we just, while you're picking that, just talking about the library area you've started building. With a few more scattered books and bits of debris, you can almost imagine that one end of the library has sort of blown itself open and scattered, and that might give you some elements that would sort of come out of there. I'm gesturing with my hand, which is crazy because you can't see my screen from my angle. But that front area, it almost feels like it's kind of blown outwards that way, so you could see more debris across the road, maybe some books scattered, maybe even one of those bookshelves.
Oh, I love that idea. So like having a bookshelf that's flung itself across, and it's exploded outwards, and there's a whole scattering of. Oh, I love that. That's a really, really, really solid idea. Maybe we can get some of these roof
Got a suggestion in chat. Do we have any kind of like stone obelisk or anything that feels kind of mystical that could have fallen across the path? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We'll have a dig through in a minute.
Yeah, I think I know. I think I have a few.
Oh, it's a flower. There was a strange tree in your window. Then I couldn't work out what I was looking
at. Sorry. Let's try and get this.
Strange tree in your garden. Oh, a garden, or maybe a greenhouse or a potting shed, something where like herbs and elements that are used for making mystical potions could be interesting.
Well, how about that's what we make this, and we have like I'm going to take this wall, squish it down a little bit, and I'll make this the perimeter for like a little garden area here, and I can put little flowers and herbs and things like that in here. Let's see what flowers we got. We've got lots of little bits and bobs that we can put in here, and we've got some more mysterious ones as well, which could be really interesting, like this.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. It's kind of a pumpkin, sort of, but
It's sort
not.
of a pumpkin.
It's like a pumpkin pineapple. It's a pump apple.
Oh, this could be fun. Like it's
Oh,
completely overgrown.
is that what they've come from?
I think so. Like they've fallen down. Oh, I love that.
Interesting. I'm kind of digging that. That's good. That's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. Just playing
There
around
are
with
28 minutes left, by the way. Both
Oh wow.
on the campaign and on the stream, because like Sauron the Ring, the stream and the campaign are bound together.
We could. I love
Those
the idea of this.
autumnal colours work really well against the brighter greens as well.
Yeah, it makes it feel a lot more like ominous and
It has, and that sort of slightly abandoned quality really comes across with this colour palette.
so we got like kind of the book storage area here. I'm going to place a lot more books out here, and I might even scatter a whole bunch through here. Then over here we've got some kind of botany, kind of like study area that's completely overgrown. That could be really fun. Some really fun plot points in that.
Maybe have we got any? Have you got any props that are like bottles or jars that could be to imply that this was where things were being stored and bottled, or maybe turned into potions, and we can have a little scattering of those things through there.
Oh, absolutely. I'll definitely come back to that in one moment, because I think I've just found a huge obelisk. So, what do we think? Do we think like an obelisk has been like fallen down?
Yeah, I think on its own, it's going to feel strange. We need to give it some. It's going to need context.
That's important. Have the context in it.
Yeah. So it should feel part of a larger structure that has slowly come apart over time. So if that was tilted, so it looks like yeah. Oh, okay. Now I was going to have the fallen ones. See the center. If you imagine, okay, go with me here. If you imagine that that's a fried egg, that bit that looks like the yolk.
Yes.
Imagine that the fallen stone's base was on that. So originally that was supported by that as a plinth, but it's fallen.
Oh, okay. No, I see it. So
poor old Tom. This is the kind of art direction that he has to cope with every day. It's me gesticulating wildly across a Zoom call and saying, "Imagine if this miniature was a souffle."
Something like that. We can have a sort of broken elements on the road and the path. So it's like the obelisk has fallen down.
Yeah, like a Cleopatra's Needle type situation.
Yeah, I'm just going to thin this bit down so it looks like it's sort of shattered a bit.
Okay, I think you'll need to raise the back end up because it's sinking through that. It doesn't feel very natural right now.
Let's lower it down a bit, bring it up a bit, something like that. Let me just reinforce this area.
That's looking good. That's looking nice. Thank you again to anyone who's joining us for the last 25 minutes of our campaign and of the stream. This is a very, very chill way to finish things out, actually.
It is.
It's a very nice conclusion to things.
Yeah. So let's see what kind of narrative this makes. So from what I can see, the players will enter on the right-hand side, and they will see this shattered storehouse, and an obelisk has crashed and fallen on top of it. They have an option. They can either jump over the obelisk, or they can work their way through the storehouse and out through this doorway here. So there's lots of options already that we can expand on. And I think I want to expand this garden a bit more as well, make it more of a feature point, because I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
I mean, something really fantastic idea. Someone's asked, would we do more houses? And I thought I'd love to do like minor houses. Like if you think about non-combat orientated classes like botany and things like that, where they have whole classes on teaching botany and potion making and things like that, which are completely separate that anyone could just take part in. I think that'd be really fun.
I think a herbalist or alchemist
Yeah.
type character would be a lot of fun.
Right.
I think a big part of this is going to come from adjusting the lighting as well.
It will do. Yeah, you're absolutely
We definitely
right.
want to have a play around with some really eerie, spooky lighting. You know, maybe darken down the overall area a little more so that we can bring some more of the lighting in.
Yeah. Let's see what it looks like when we sort of.
You're sort of pushing it into that like bluish.
Yeah, like that. We're losing quite a lot of light around here.
But we can fix it.
We can
we
fix
have
it.
the technology.
We have the technology
It's
indeed.
called Glowey things.
And this is something really interesting, is that we can use these spotlights to highlight specific areas.
So in many ways, this is like working on a film set, in that you set out all of your props and all of your bits, and then you use lights just like you would in a movie to sort of create atmosphere and reinforce the story that you're trying to tell.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to reinforce the area where players will enter. So even though this is out in the open, I want them kind of feel like they're entering from this amazing bright area, very much like the idle wood.
Are you going to change the color of that so that it's a contrasting color source to imply that they're coming from a different area? Using one of those old. Anyone who's played sort of video games with zones will recognise this idea of moving through and the lighting changes, and that's a change of atmosphere. Very much suggest that kind of thing with the way the edges of the maps sort of interact with the imaginary wider world beyond.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I think we're missing something over here with these rocks. I feel like we could definitely reinforce this area.
Just check your grid again. Let's see how they feel with the borders. Because one of the things that we're trying to do always with these sorts of mapping is we're using, like we're talking about the light, we're trying to make the map feel like it's part of a wider thing whilst also feeling self-contained. So, yeah, it needs something up there for sure, doesn't it? It's lacking a certain. There's a certain narrative quality to other areas that area doesn't quite hold yet.
And we've got opportunity for the bottom left to have some kind of. I know what would be down here. Maybe some kind of well. I think a well could be really fun.
I could imagine a well. That could be fun.
Okay. Let me just turn that grid off and see how things.
Anything that sort of goes down into the ground.
Oh, a tunnel. A cave. That'd be amazing. That'd be really fun.
Love a cave. Gotta love a cave.
Love a cave. Do you think that's what this area up here could be?
If we can turn that into a cavern entrance with like some, again, me and my light sources, but like, some sort of eerie light coming from within, suddenly that has real storytelling potential, and that is absolutely what we're after. Did you just press, was it Control-Alt-Z?
I did. Okay, so we can have this kind of cave area here. Like
There's another vote in chat for a well or a pond/cave, so it's clear.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that is a direction we definitely want to go in.
Okay.
Let me just. Apparently, I'm too quiet, possibly for the first time in my entire life. Let me turn myself up. I do indeed have a boost. Everybody who is in chat, say hi to Katie. Katie Winchester, anyone who's had one of our Animal Adventures books, both on Gullet Cove and soon in the Faraway Sea, Katie does all of the adorable hero portraits. She's a fantastic artist, and we're very lucky to work with her, and it's lovely to see her in the chat.
Oh, that's fantastic. Just working on this cave now. I'm thinking maybe like a warm light from inside, like that.
Loving it. An area for testing spells. That's an interesting suggestion.
Oh, like that sort of blast marks on
Yeah.
the floor and like rubble where. Oh, this.
Yeah.
See, you know, I think there's so much story potential in this area. If you think about it, it could be an area where you know, less more unruly students. This is where they go on their lunch breaks. They hang around in the old ruins and
Yeah,
mess around.
the equivalent of the bit behind the sheds where you know, all of the kids gather.
Yeah, I mean,
just a minor note, but thinking about the way the cave would work, you probably just want to take out some of the foliage in the cave entrance area through footfall.
like the
yeah, because
course,
between
yeah.
the shadow of the cave and less water getting in there and footfall, you wouldn't have quite as much grass growing, and it'll help define the zone a little bit more as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let me just do that right now. Make it feel a bit more rocky and sort of lived in, like that.
Yeah.
A path leading to it, or?
It depends how recently. I mean, that implies a lot more.
That implies it's part of the area.
It's
more. You know, I think the cave entrance actually feels too big to me because that's like 2 to 3 people wide. I want it to feel more more
sort of
like a smuggler's cave.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think
really
possibly we could lose some of that pathway to it just to make it feel less connected. We want it to feel a little bit more off the beaten track.
Absolutely. So bear with me one moment. I just need to reload the map.
Oh, is it having a moment?
It's definitely having a moment, and it'll be back. There we go. And it's all fixed. Excellent.
Fantastic.
So let's bring that in like here. Move it up like vertically. See, I like that. I like the idea
that little like chink of light coming out of this little tiny sort of crack in the wall. It's very kind of secret. The idea of characters squeezing their way in there.
Yeah, that could be really, really fun. I love that.
That's got that kind of house cunning kind of vibe to it.
Yeah. So let's have a look at maybe a well around the back. That could be quite fun.
So
let's see. Do we have any wells? Do we have any wells? That would be amazing if we had a well. We
do have a well.
A well with a roof. Now the problem with that is it's not going to be very.
It's not going to be very clear what it is it?
Yeah. So we need to find some kind of circle of stone that we could use instead. Okay. I'm going to have a little hunt through my.
You have a quick dig through your assets. Whilst you're doing that, obviously across the project we've done a group of different sculpts and different characters. Are there any that particularly you're particularly keen on? Both one you've maybe done yourself or one that somebody else on the team produced?
I've got to say that I'm incredibly fond of the Professor, of course. You did an absolutely amazing job with the Professor sculpt.
I have form where it comes to magical animals.
Yeah, I think you might have some prior experience. Something tells me that. I'm not sure.
Just a little bit. I have to say, for that reason, is that why I got the tabaxi as well?
Yeah, I felt like it was very your style, and proved to be right. So
I love that tabaxi. My headcanon is still that the playing cards that the tabaxi is carrying, this character is basically like Gambit from the X-Men, but it's a deck of many things, and you throw the cards at somebody, and whatever is drawn out, they have to suffer. They have to suffer the consequences. I would love to play that character. I don't think anyone would ever want to DM it, but I would love to play that character. It just sounds amazing.
Hey, that sounds like a really good one shot, though. Yeah.
I think it wouldn't. Whether you intended for it to be a one shot or not, I think that's what it would need to end up being. Wow, yes. That's.
Now this is going to look really bright because I haven't put any materials on it yet.
It does look really bright.
I'm looking for some water material to help represent it. And we'll find something that works nicely. and we'll pop it in the well. So I've actually didn't have a specific well model available, but what I do have instead,
You've sort of created one.
I've created one using a version of the tower which I've scaled down.
That's devilish cunning of you.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we could have some kind of... Let's see if this would be any good. I mean, that could be quite fun. It's glowing a little bit too much for my liking, so I'm just going to tweak some of this material.
Oh.
Bear with me.
Okay, welcome to the sort of spaghetti noodles that are
the behind the scenes
running the whole thing in the background. Yeah,
that's better. Some kind of like, I mean, that almost makes you feel like an ooze. I mean, gelatinous cube could be really fun at this point. But yeah, let's see what we can. There we go. If we slightly fade it back.
I see what you're doing. Yeah, so the vertical scale kind of controls the opacity.
Yeah, so if we look at the map, okay, that feels a lot more. There's so many fun points of interest here now.
Yeah.
We definitely need some ivy on that well, though, just to make it feel a bit more, and maybe some.
So, have you got lilies or
Yes,
pond
I have lilies.
weed or something floating in the surface? That would be nice.
I certainly do.
Maybe the water needs to be a little less
blue, more
greenish.
Let's get some.
Certainly, my pond is not that colour at home.
Let me see what I can do to edit that material. Right.
I'm very much enjoying the notifications that keep popping up in the corner as your Dropbox dutifully announces that it's downloaded files that I know for a fact were ones we created about 5 months ago.
I know.
Good work, Dropbox.
Thanks, Dropbox. Okay, so we make it a bit more dull. I'm going to leave it like that for now. It's a bit flowing a bit fast for my liking, but how are we doing on the comments? Any questions or anything?
No, we're all pretty. Everyone's just chilling out and enjoying the show.
I love that.
At the moment, which is all good. All good.
I love that. Okay, cool. So we've got a really interesting looking setup here now. So we've got some water. Yeah, this is looking good. I think we need to dress the inside of this tower a bit. It's quite plain. You see where like the floor hitting the wall. We need to find some kind of props to bring it to life a bit more.
Sure.
Very much like the bookcase we had here. We've got to have some barrels in here, storing some kind of potions. That'd be brilliant.
We have approximately, within about 30 seconds, about 10 minutes left to go. Just 10 minutes of this campaign and of this stream.
Wow.
Because as goes one, so goes the other. That's fun. I like the way it's catching the light.
Yeah, and I'm thinking we have something even more fun on top of that. We have some kind of rune, like it's like some magic chest holding something. So we can match the lighting on this using this.
I'm very intrigued to see what you're doing here. Oh, this is very cool.
It's quite bright and quite large at the moment. So let's see if we can... That's cool.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
But, alas, I'm stuck in the world of too close. I need to see how does that visually impact our scene. So let's get our camera up.
So you're using a different camera to capture the map to the camera that you're sort of moving around with.
Absolutely.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that allows me to have the freedom to see what the printed map might look like, like this, and also then go in and just edit the fine details. Now, I think that's really cool. Like,
that's
to me,
very cool.
That instantly feels like, oh, what's that? I want to get there.
Yeah, very much so.
And I think we can bring some of these rocks out more. Now, I don't know what kind of encounters that could be had here, but there's definitely lots that could be done.
See, that definitely looks more intriguing. I mean, you could probably take some of those quite small, couldn't you, and sort of
we want to get some
break it up a bit. But I'm digging that. Very nice indeed.
Yeah, this is coming on really nice. I'm gonna open up a bit of this space in the corner because if you think it's the printed map, you got this whole corner that's being wasted to some respect.
I can see that. Just like space out some of those trees a little bit.
I'm just going to pull back the tree line a bit, just so it feels a bit more. Just so we got that kind of that room to breathe around the edge. Maybe bring one a little bit back. Try and balance it. Right. So we got a spot here to fill where the character's sitting. And I'm trying to think, what could we put here? Do we put anything there? Do we leave it blank? I'm going to have a little look in our prop library and see what we've got that we can use there.
Think about, I mean, if we think about the zones that we've created, it might be that we want to run a path off into that corner just so that, there's more than one way in and out of the map.
Oh, okay. So make like a clearing up here.
Yeah, that just runs out so that we've got, I think it will add to the utility of the map if there are multiple routes in and out. Obviously, the forest can imply lots of routes in and out, but if we establish another pathway, I think that opens things up a little.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because that really opens up the idea of making these maps as usable as possible for anyone's game. So let's see. Let's start erasing some of these trees and making a pathway through out here, so we can have a different light source sort of peeking through around the edge, and that could lead to even more incredible encounters.
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Let's give that a whirl.
Yeah. I'm going to have a little mess around with...
Okay.
So we can actually sculpt the land
raising
as well.
the ground.
Yeah. So it could be fun if that's like kind of like a... See, that looks quite fun. It looks like sort of scrabbled. It goes up a hill.
Yeah. Like something large has been dragged away from that corner.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's fun. That is really fun. So let's see how that looks again with the map camera.
Just so that you know, we are on 17:54 UK time, so we've got about 6 minutes left.
Wow.
I know we're in the end game now.
Yeah. That's gone blindingly fast.
It flies along, doesn't it?
Scarily fast. I think I want to build some more structures in here, Just some more walls and some more ruins, but not necessarily ones that have content. So maybe I don't know if you ever see this. If you ever go walking in the British countryside, you always find sort of old farmers' buildings that have been, left to the ages, and they're just covered in moss, and
for sure,
there's no real purpose to them anymore. They just sort of become part of the scenery. So I love that kind of idea, and also provides fantastic cover from an in-game perspective. If there's any kind of encounter or event here, I can imagine the players hunkering down in this little area here that used to be like a storehouse or something like that.
I would suggest, seeing as you've got a specific angle suggested for the other two buildings, it may well be that you want to keep the same angle, because it will imply that they were a group of buildings originally. So you might want to just rotate those sort of 30-40 degrees round.
Something like that?
Yeah, and then either or. But it's that idea that these buildings are all built at a similar time. There would be some suggestion of consistency, and then it ties us to our narrative a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brilliant. So that just feels like some kind of like just patchy ruined area.
Yeah.
I might grab some barrels and push them into the dirt somewhere.
Can we just take a moment as well to appreciate that, we get to discuss the placement of magical libraries and wizard buildings and call it work. I love my job.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. It's definitely different. Not many people can say they can do that for a living. It is ridiculous. And things like that really sort of, it's so easy for it to get lost on you in the moment, because it's really important exactly where to place that book and barrel. And, it's like sometimes when we're doing the sculpting, we take a step back and go, we were just talking about sculpting the most craziest things in the world. Like,
That's the best thing. It's the best thing. Now that's looking really nice. Love it. Someone's asking what tool we're working in. We're working in. Are we in Unreal 5?
that's right, Unreal Engine 5. That's a game engine.
We are in Unreal Engine 5, which is, as Tom says, a game engine. I'm sure if you have any sort of awareness of modern video games, you'll have seen the Unreal logo appear at the front of a very, very many game releases in the last 10 years or so. This is also the same software that was used in productions like The Mandalorian to create all of their incredible backdrops, which was a really huge kind of thing that was happening. Obviously, we're not using all of those sort of photorealistic tools, but it is an incredibly responsive piece of kit for doing this kind of work, because as you can see, we're getting all of that, the light and the shadow interaction and the glows and the reflections, like that's all handled in real time for us, which is such an amazing tool. There's a pretty steep learning curve in getting to do this sort of thing. Tom's doing that thing of making it look easy because he spent a lot of time in the program, but it is a great tool for this kind of thing.
And it's completely free too.
It is. We are on a 2-minute countdown, Tom. We've just ticked over to a 2-minute countdown.
I've got T-minus.
I know. I feel like this is mission control. This is ground control to Major Tom.
Oh no, you didn't go there.
It had to be said. It had to be said.
Wow. So in the last 100 seconds, quick, any suggestion of what we could add to this map to make it more interesting or more fun, or anything you want to see personally? You've got exactly 86 seconds now. 85 seconds.
85 seconds minus a 30-second stream delay. It doesn't leave us a lot of time.
That means you probably have 10 seconds from now.
I'm looking forward to information traveling from the future into the past.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to check in as the last minute ticks over, see how we're doing. Oh, we are on a 55, 54.
Oh,
there is literally a 50-second countdown now. So I think with that in mind, as the campaign comes to an end, we'll be bringing the stream to an end. I think there's enough time to say, I'm just going to very briefly say thank you to everyone that has supported us. Thanks to everyone, all of our lovely colleagues who have worked so hard on the project with us, the unsung heroes behind the scenes, everyone in the community that has chosen to support and back us. I'm going to hand over to Tom, because obviously this was born of his imagination originally. What would you like to say, Tom?
Wow, putting me on the spot. No, honestly, I just want to say the biggest heartfelt thanks to everybody for believing in this project and their support, and especially the support of all my co-workers here at Steamforged Games. It's been a wild ride, and it's so rewarding seeing this journey come to such a satisfying close, and many, many doors I'm sure will be open because of this in the world of adventures in academia.
And I think that is the perfect place to finish. So thanks to everyone who's joined us. We will look forward to seeing all of you in the future, hopefully at conventions, events, and all of the places where we get to see people that we've sadly not been able to be for such a long time. Until then, we hope you all stay safe, and catch you again soon. Goodbye all.